Alright, so we're back, and as you can see, I'm playing some Starcraft Wings of Liberty actually. If you remember, I did this before. But most of you know that Starcraft Heart of the Swarm is already out. And the reason I don't have that, or why I'm not playing it right now, is because I suck. And I'm not going to buy a game that I'm not good at when I can just play this one. It's a little bit older. I'm playing players like that aren't really good, because the better players have obviously bought the new game. So yeah, my strategy here, as you saw in the chat, I'm going to 3 racks, which is pretty much a cheese all-in Marine build. And it's used, it's pretty good against Terran if they're blind. Keep in mind this this technique is probably only going to work in low levels of play, like what you're seeing here. If you're curious, this is like I think this is unranked 2v2, and the players, well, I'm up against here, they're horrible, and so am I. So we're all even. But what you see I do here is at 10 supply, I send a SCV, and I build a supply depot. Once that's finished, I drop down my first barracks, and I stop SCV production. And as soon as I have enough money, I make another barracks. Now, once the first one's finished, what I'll do is I'll take this SCV and I'll build another supply depot. Then once that's finished, I'll build another barracks. And then from those 3 barracks, that's where all your production comes. And you want to start to move out once you have around in the 10 to 15 Marines area, because you don't want to have too small of a force which they can defend it. These guys did not wall off, and they pretty much had no defense. I did make a lot of poor micro mistakes. It ended up costing my Marines a lot. Granted, my teammate here should have led with his roaches, but I don't know. It was kind of a weird situation because like, once you get into their base with all these Marines, you're pretty vulnerable, because if the other person has went for tech, such as Void Rays, they can just come backdoor you. And as you see, he didn't even scout until late, because he decided he's just gonna put his Overlord in a spot that's not gonna see anything, where he could have moved it here and about half the time, and it would have saved him a lot of trouble. Will save me a lot of trouble, because I wouldn't know what I'm gonna go up against. But yeah, as you can see, my 3 barracks are set, and the reason this is all in, as you can see, I have no gas, I have very little saturation, so you're using all the money you're gaining to produce Marines. Now, I mean, I guess you could transition out of this if it fails, but in reality, you're not going to do anything. This is pretty much just an all-in. I don't even really upgrade the 3 racks, because with this, you're kind of counting on the first, then he spams that for no apparent reason. But you're kind of counting on the first push to either win the game or cripple the enemy so bad they can't really defend themselves. Because obviously you have no gas to upgrade your Marines. Although it wouldn't hurt to, add a tech lab, but then again, you're cutting Marine production. I actually did not know he saw that. Oh wow, he actually scouted me. So maybe that's why this fight went a little the way it did. Right before oh my god, that was bad. So during this game, I actually did not know right before I moved out, his observer spotted my entire base. Now, granted, they still weren't very prepared for it, as you'll see here, but I have a good amount of Marines. And then, of course, as you're attacking here, you'll see my micro mistakes. So I just tried to kite these zealots. And of course, as you're attacking, you always want to keep production up in your main base with Marines, because you want this to succeed. I kind of messed up here because I just kept fucking around, when in reality I should have went for his probes a lot earlier, which I realized I should do now, and that's why I went for his probes. This is the kind of quality of players we are, while I'm facing. He didn't even move like any of his, hold on, let me turn this down. Still too loud. Alright, so he didn't even kite his probes around. Or he didn't even micro them at all, he just kind of let me shoot them. So that's kind of what I was up against here. What killed him is he didn't have any gateway units except for a few zealots. This guy had stalkers, but he was going for void rays, this guy, Oduk. And this is where this build shines, because if he's going for some sort of high tech, he has no defense. And there's his first void ray, and I think he only gets like one or two more. But as you can see, back on my base, I have another large force. And I tell my teammate in the chat that he needs to, in the next push, he needs to come with me, because his roaches, I don't know why he built roaches. Oh, for the stalkers, yeah. But I told him he needs to come with me. I'm, at this point, I guess you could start making more SCVs, but I mean, as you can see, my macro's horrible. Um, but obviously, continue to make supply depots when needed, and I add on a fourth barracks here, but I don't think I get to use it. This guy's crippled, and this guy, you can't really 1v2 too effectively if both of your opponents haven't been harassed. So here I get a pretty good substantial force. Um, I think I move out here in a second. And we do encounter a little bit of resistance, and there was some micro involved, if you could call it that. I mean, it wasn't even really micro, I was just being an idiot with my units and throwing them away. But as you can see here, I move out with my Marines, and you're always keeping up production at your base. This is key with this build, because a lot of players that are even worse than me, which is surprising, when they do this build, they won't reinforce it. So, for example, that first attack that I had, they would have had no Marines to back it up, and this attack probably wouldn't even have happened. And what happens then, your enemy catches back up, and essentially the first attack was useless. So, this guy comes with quite a bit of roaches and my Marines. What I was trying to get him to do, I was trying to tell him that his roaches should lead the way, but in his mind, that wasn't what was happening. And so I decide that I have to run in with my Marines, and this guy's got a pretty good force. I mean, nothing that's really going to fight us. The stalkers were quite a bit of a problem. As you can see, my micro's horrible, and I lose a lot of Marines I shouldn't have. I focus this Void Ray, because that was the only thing really that was going to keep him in the fight. And that's the only Void Ray he ever got out. I mean, I guess he could have tried to defend this with more Zealots, but it wasn't going to do anything. And at that point, they both leave. As you can see, he was just probably going for pure gateway units, which is not too strong against the Roach Marine combo we had going here. And this guy was completely destroyed from my first attack or whatever. So that's that game. I have a few other 3-rack videos, or games that I've won if you want me to show you more of this build. For the most part, this is all I'm really doing, because I'm not really good at late game, but I do have a few late game games that I've won, so if you want me to show you guys those, I will. Tell me down below, and see you guys later.